What's up everyone, it's Sinistry, and today I am here to discuss the new Crypt of the Necrodancer DLC called Synchrony. If you're unaware, Crypt of the Necrodancer is a rhythm dungeon crawler with roguelite elements, and it has been around for several years, and Synchrony is actually its first DLC in 5 years. I've been playing Necrodancer for such a long time. It is one of my favorite games of all time, and I am so stoked to be discussing this DLC because I think it's super fun. We're going to dive into a lot of the different elements of this DLC, so make sure to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. But now let's get started with some of the new game modes. First up, we have online co-op, which is a very interesting feature. You kind of set it up like you do a game of Among Us, where you can set up a lobby that's either public, private, or friends only. However, people can join at any time, so you can actually choose to start the game before everybody's in, and you can maybe leave the server open so that other people can join. It's really cool and very fun, and basically you just work your way through the floors as a team. I will say I had some fun playing this as both a player of a game and a host, but I do feel like as a host, I was a little bit stressed out when I had to quit because I think the person I was playing with, who I don't know, actually wanted to continue playing. So that is the one downside, unfortunately, but still it is a very fun mode, and I will also say that it is very chaotic if you have a bunch of people in a lobby, which you can set the max number of players. I don't know that public lobbies are going to be super popular in maybe a year or two, but I do think that this is a very fun mode for you to play with your friends, and I would highly recommend it. Also, whether you're playing with friends or random people, you can actually spectate after you die or before you join a game. This could be really fun if you're on a Discord call with your friends and you join, and then you get to, spectate after you die or whatever, and you can see all the weird things that your friends are doing, and you can, laugh about it and have a good time. Now, on the other hand, the online versus mode, I don't really know what to say about this because I am still perplexed by it. I guess there are multiple different modes you can play, but personally, I don't actually know how you choose which mode to play, and I also don't know how to even find ongoing games. Maybe I was unlucky and no one was playing when I was searching, but when I walked over to the versus staircase in the main lobby, section, I actually was automatically sent to the host screen. So I don't know if I was even able to join another lobby, or if I had to host, or if there were even other lobbies. I don't really know how to find that. Maybe you need to go to the multiplayer staircase. I just am still confused about this. I really found that the UI of all of the multiplayer stuff was a bit confusing and a little bit too complex to not just be explained. I don't think it was explained even a single time within the game, so I'm just kind of confused about the whole thing. I will say though, I did create a versus lobby and I ended up getting KO'd before anybody joined. However, it reboots you and you start after a couple seconds, and then you can continue in your versus action. After I was rebooted, I actually had somebody join, some random person, and what I found to be kind of frustrating is I had a negative score because I got KO'd, I guess, but they had a, neutral 0 score, and I was very confused about this because why should I get a negative score before anybody else joins if they can just drop in at any time? What I also find kind of weird is at the end of our versus run, which I think was 5 floors, the game didn't exactly crash, but it just I don't know, it was not intuitive what to do next. It was very weird. I couldn't really click buttons I normally would expect to click. It was just very strange. So I don't know, I feel the versus mode and maybe multiplayer overall just needs to be worked on a little bit. But that being said, I do want to say the actual versus gameplay was very fun. I don't really know if I can attack other people or how to attack them accurately. It didn't seem to work very consistently. But I will say that you actually get to choose from different weapons and items before you go in, even if you are rebooting every time. So that makes it a little more fun. You get to start off with some different abilities, and then enemies just continually spawn in all the time, which is just kind of a really fun mechanic. I found a lot of fun with it, and I'm sure that other people would as well. But enough about game modes, let's now talk about the new characters from the DLC. Starting off, we have Klarinetta, and she holds a gigantic sword which she uses to attack enemies. She holds it at a diagonal consistently, so you actually can't use the 4 cardinal directions, you have to use only diagonals. However, Klarinetta herself is on one space, and then her sword is actually occupying a different diagonal space from her. So you can walk around with her, and then you can attack enemies by either running over them with your sword or by swinging your sword. Now, when you swing your sword, as you imagine, you cover the, cardinal directions in between the diagonals. So you use your button combinations in order to select the direction you want your sword to go in. However, I found this to be kind of tricky, and personally, I ended up getting, maybe not KO'd, but at least attacked several times because the sword swung in a different direction than I thought it would. For example, if I had the sword in the bottom left position and I needed to get it to the top right position, passing above me so that it could hit an enemy that is one space above me, I had a couple times where it would swing down instead of up, and I don't know how to actually make it swing up before down. I'm not sure if there is a way to figure that out. I just probably haven't played her enough. Maybe there is like a consistent direction it goes in and I just haven't picked up on it, but I will say it is tricky, and I think newer players would definitely find this a very difficult character. And also, just for reference, I have been playing this game for many years. I have only not beaten the game with Arya and Coda because I haven't unlocked Coda because I haven't beaten Arya, but I am actually a pretty good player generally. I just am a little rusty because I haven't played for a few years. So don't get it twisted. I'm not bad at Klarinetta because I am a bad player. I'm bad at Klarinetta because I'm rusty and because I don't understand the mechanics of the character yet. But now let's discuss Chaunter, who is one of my favorite new characters. Chaunter is a ghost who attacks and possesses enemies. So that actually means that you get to play as any of the enemies within the game. When you possess an enemy, you gain their attack, HP, and any abilities, and you can also continue to buy weapons and other items and add on to your hearts and things like that while you're in the enemy form. However, you only have a limited time with every enemy, so it starts off at I think 24 seconds, but every time you kill another enemy while you're possessing another enemy, you actually add to that timer by just a couple seconds. You can also leave enemies, so let's say that you possessed a green slime, you are never going to get anywhere, and rather than wasting 24 seconds, you can just hit the button combo to unpossess it and then go back to your ghost form. Now, you actually possess enemies by weakening them down to, I believe, 1 heart or half a heart, and then your next time that you attack them possesses them. So on enemies that only need 1 hit, you just automatically possess them, but on enemies that need multiple hits, you have to weaken them before you can possess them. In your ghost form, you only have half a heart of health, and you only have basically dagger level attack, so you actually are super weak, and you need to find better enemies to possess in order to get better stats. So for example, you probably want to go for a mini boss or a black skeleton or something like that that has more health, has more attack, and they're typically a more standard kind of enemy that moves in a way that is pretty viable play-wise. Also, certain enemies like the skeletons actually can use weapons that you have equipped, whereas other ones like the bats, I believe, don't use these weapons. I believe this is due to the speed of the different enemies that you're possessing, because if you're possessing a skeleton who has to attack and then wait a turn and then attack again, then I believe that's what gives them the ability to use a weapon rather than a spirit who can continually move and doesn't have that cooldown. One thing I really want to try with Chaunter is bombing the shopkeeper and seeing if I can possess him, because honestly, he would be awesome. I'm sure he would be able to stick around for a very long time because I believe he has a lot of health, so this could be a really fun way to play this game. Also, I bet Chaunter is super fun in randomizer mode when you get enemies with tons and tons of hearts, because the one thing about Chaunter is when you're possessing an enemy, you don't just have the 24 seconds. You have 24 seconds until you lose a heart, and then when you get down to, completely losing all of your hearts because you ran out the clock, that's when you are not able to possess that enemy anymore. So it's a little bit confusing, but basically if you have more HP as an enemy, you get to hang on to that enemy for a lot longer. Now let's move on and discuss Suzu, who is my favorite character of the entire DLC. Suzu is super fun. They have a weapon that when you defeat an enemy, you dash in a straight line, attacking all enemies along the path, and not just attacking them, but KOing them instantly. Now after you've, gone through your whole line of enemies, the only things that can really stop you are walls or enemies with shields or things like that that are typically, either one hit to break or completely unbreakable. However, something interesting is, let's say that you hit an enemy and you run into a wall. You actually break that wall tile, so that's really cool for like opening up the shop warps or for getting gold from the shopkeeper's shop. Because yes, you can actually break golden walls with Suzu. And also, you know how I mentioned that you can defeat enemies instantly by running through them? That actually counts for mini bosses and bosses as well from what I've seen. So something interesting about Suzu is I believe you actually don't get hurt by spikes if you like run over them, but you definitely don't get hit by any enemies if they would normally hit you when you hit a wall. Basically, you have like one beat of invincibility, which is really nice because then you can reset and, you know, go along your path a normal way. So actually a couple tricky things about Suzu is, first of all, you can get redirected by arrows, so that can make things a little trickier to plan if you didn't know that there was an arrow in your way. And also, I believe if you run over trapdoors, but definitely if you run over stairs, you do get moved down to the next level. So you have to make sure to be careful if you are fighting in the mini boss room because you don't want to leave any gold behind. I also have not gotten to Zone 3 yet with Suzu, but I imagine that ice could make things very complicated, so just be careful if you're playing as Suzu and you're not as familiar with Zone 3. Also, final thing to say about Suzu, I love playing King Konga when I have Suzu because the conga lines are so satisfying. You don't usually get like a full KO because, you know, they're usually like at an angle, but you can wipe out half of them very quickly. Okay, so that's everything on the characters. Let's discuss just a couple of quick things before we wrap up here. First of all is mods. Mods, I typically don't play Necrodancer with mods. However, I know there are tons and tons of them, and there is actually now mod support within Necrodancer itself. So you don't even have to leave the game to download mods. This is really exciting too, because not only can you download them, but you can also immediately start playing them without having to restart the client, which is just really nice and very user-friendly. And there's even a search function within Necrodancer itself where you can like search for specific mods, or you can just browse any mods that are available. I thought it was super cool, and I actually downloaded a single mod to play as like a different character. I thought it was really fun. I probably won't do this very often, but if I ever see any cool mods, it's nice to know that I can go download them very easily. I also would imagine that if you have like custom music in the game and then you add mods, you can do all kinds of really cool things. So I would definitely say keep your eye out for any interesting mods. And if you already know of any great Necrodancer mods, make sure to let me know in the comments down below because I would love to try them out. Next up, I'm just going to mention 2 new categories that have had updates within Necrodancer Synchrony, and that is items and enemies. Apparently there are lots of new items. I have not really encountered a lot of them, but I know that some are specific to certain modes. For example, I believe poison weapons are only in the versus mode, and I did actually see one, but I just still don't really know how to use it, so I'm very curious to see all of these new items and weapons as I work my way through. And as for new enemies, I also haven't seen a lot of them, even though I have played several games. I don't know if maybe they're just further down in other zones, but I believe I actually saw the Thief, who, from what I could tell, looks like a leprechaun, but colored darker and comes at you and steals your items. I think I got KO'd before it got to me, but it was really weird to see and I was very confused. Overall, I'm just really excited to play against some new enemies and to also experience some new items and weapons because my favorite part of Necrodancer is just seeing what I'm gonna find on each run. Also, it's worth noting that there have been tons and tons and tons of additional fixes and tweaks, and I think bugs like patched up and all that kind of stuff within Synchrony, or like at least recently they have been fixed. I will include a link in the description to the developer's notes on all of the different changes that have been made, so if you're curious, you can go through and read them. So in conclusion, Necrodancer is really one of my favorite games of all time, and I think for around $7, this DLC is very much worth it. The new characters alone add so much to the game, and I'm sure the other like items and weapons and things like that will also add a ton to every game. Necrodancer has always been really replayable, but I think with the addition of the other game modes as well, it will just continue to be replayable for a very long time. Also, I want to give a shout out that they are putting out another new game called Rift of the Necrodancer, which looks interesting. I don't really know if I'm gonna play it or play it a whole lot, but if I do, I will make sure to do a review review on this channel. But anyway, that is everything I had to say about Crypt of the Necrodancer Synchrony. Make sure to let me know what you think if you have played Necrodancer and if you have tried Synchrony. I would love to see if I'm the only one who thinks this is a great DLC, and I would also love to know if I'm the only one who has issues with multiplayer. Now remember to like and subscribe if you liked this video. I'm going to continue putting up 3 videos a week and 4 streams on the days I don't put up videos, so there will be tons of content for you every single day. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.